Now if I said Alice in Wonderland, you would naturally think of the novel. No, you wouldn't. It's definitely the Disney movie. Well, some of you would think that Kingdom Hearts level. I know you're out there. And the gist of the story is that it's a magical, whimsical tale about a girl who falls asleep and has some of the most vivid dreams possible. Is this something people can even dream about? Bro, all my dreams usually involve being chased by a T-Rex and then zombies. But in her one, she goes down a rabbit hole and ends up in this magical land full of killer walruses, smug cats, and changed places. However, what if you took this Wonderland concept but made it dark and creepy, where the reason Alice goes there wasn't due to a whimsical dream, but rather to shelter herself from the outside world, a world where she may have killed her family accidentally in a house fire. Rated E for everyone! Oh no, it's a horror game. And that is what Alice Madness Returns is all about. A platformer horror game with such a creepy vibe. And you can't help but wonder how this all came about. It's so creative. Oh, what's that? You want to see the horror? You don't believe me? Well, okay. I warned ya. Why is it making that sound? And as someone who's not good with horror, I literally had a nightmare about this thing and woke up screaming. I'm serious. I haven't even played this game. So it is kinda weird. How did I even know about this game? And it was due to me constantly seeing its box art in the shops. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen those kind of box arts that are stuck in your memory. Games you probably shouldn't have seen when you were younger. You know, the pink ones. And Big Mother Truckers Drug Me Harder. But then I saw this one and thought, I love the Alice movie, but why does she look so different? Is that a knife? Is that a blood? And so the game always stood out to me, and it certainly lives up to that with atmosphere, music, creepy visuals showing a mysterious world, and the characters. My god, I can't believe people call Tim Burton's character scary. Would you rather talk to a skeleton in a suit? Oh, this freaking thing! So the game is actually a sequel to American McGee's Alice in 2000. Yes, that is the creator's name. His Wikipedia is so fascinating for a game dev. Their mother named them American because they were inspired by someone she knew in college who named their daughter America. And he had many stepfathers till his mother settled with a trans woman and then sold the house to pay for plane tickets and fee for her girlfriend's surgery. So he was left on his own, and then he had to find a place and job, eventually just befriending the guy who worked on Doom with id Software just in his apartment. Man, that's crazy! That doesn't seem believable! This story is just so absurd because how do you just find an iconic game dev next door in your first apartment? And they want to be friends with you? I thought game devs hate people! Isn't that why they make games? Then he worked with EA to make American McGee's Alice, which I'll get to in a section, and then he parted with EA to make his own company, Spicy Horse, a Shanghai-based game studio where they made American McGee Grim for Game Tap? What are these words? Online subscription rental service? Oh, like PlayStation Plus. Why don't I own these games? And American McGee presents Akinero, American McGee's Crooked House, American McGee's Cookbook. Or maybe one of them was made up. Even before this, McGee made Bad Day LA, based on a day stuck in LA traffic, and it was apparently one of the most worst received games ever created. I can't even guess why. But then EA in 2010 would announce a sequel to Alice with McGee back with Spicy Horse developing, seemingly being able to use the IP since EA owned it. It's just the thing in game dev when creators make things, usually the publisher ends up owning the creation since, you know, they helped give money to make the game, which kinda sucks, but you also gotta know, you weren't gonna make the game without the publisher and their funding and marketing. Or lack thereof. But with Spicy Horse, it was touted as the first ever exported Chinese game, which I think means the first ever worldwide release for a game that was made in China. And I trust the source on this, Wikipedia. It is a game purely for that console gen, you know, yellow filters on it. But it also did a thing a lot of games did on that console that they did do, fail. Yep, it just didn't sell well. I have a feeling this game will be known as a sleeper hit in a couple of years' time. You know what, Final Fantasy 2389? I think you're right. Because now the game has such a resurgence in popularity and people discovering it after the fact from so many videos on it online. Yet, this was EA. If it didn't sell well at the time, oh, they sure weren't gonna care what it did in the future. There was once for a sequel and such, but we'll get to that. Because before getting there, we gotta go back to the first game, since this is a sequel, and my brief time experience with it, because, oh, it is sure a 2000s PC game. So American McGee's Alice. How come you get your own Alice? Well, it's an IP that's long past the copyright time, so if you don't make it look too much like Disney's one, you can see that with the more darker designs, it looks nothing like Disney's Alice, so I think it's fair game to do their own take on the novel. Okay, I'm not gonna do the YouTuber thing where they read an old novel to understand the whole plot of that so you can make a comparison. I rewatched the Disney movie instead.
Oh my God! This is what he does! This is what he flipping does! It's illegal!
Oh, come on. I loved this so much as a kid. I didn't understand any of it, but it was cool. The trippy visuals and colors and oh, god damn, I hate this walrus so much. Stop eating the babies, you fat fuck. What do you mean the carpenter wanted to eat the oysters too? I thought he wanted to help them eat bread together with that amazing soup.
Oh, yes, a very good moral, if you happen to be an oyster.
Alice, what are you on about? But it's a famous story where you see Alice's tropes in other media, you know, any crazy rabbits at a dinner table, it's not a good sign. And there's so much potential to do a game set in a Wonderland where anything can happen. Which was cool, this take on it was as far removed from the Disney movie as possible. So it released on the PC in 2000, where it stars Alice Little, who awakes to see her house in flames. However, she is able to escape before falling into a comatose state. And while being kept in a mental hospital, she starts to believe that she killed her whole family in that fire. And in this state, her mind deteriorates as she slips back into Wonderland. So sort of this weird continuation of the movie because it's not her first time here. I'm guessing based more on the books, but now...
Please don't dawdle, Alice. We're very late indeed.
Use some moisturizer, dude! So due to a mysterious Red Queen taking over her Wonderland, it's now gone to pieces. And the aim is to fix it up and hopefully heal Alice's mind. But to actually play this game, you gotta play a game within a game. Ooh. But no, to seriously play it now, you have to buy the sequel, Madness Returns, and launch it from there. But also, if you buy that game, you cannot find the original because it was only in this special edition version. Yet every version you buy online right now has it built into the code. Alice's game is just sitting there hidden beneath the code. So all you need is literally a guide that will trick the thing, being like, yeah, sure. My copy is also the special edition. And there you go. So we started up. Well, I mean, this is probably groundbreaking 25 years ago. So in Wonderland, Alice must chase after the rabbit with the guidance of the Cheshire Cat.
Rabbit knows a thing or two, and I myself don't need a weather vane to tell which way the wind blows.
Oh yes, that's a good voice. And the gameplay, well... Oh god, I chopped his head off! Yeah, so this game is quite violent. I mean, you can dismember so many enemies. It's a third-person hack and slasher. Literally, you just hack away with your knife with the jankiest hitboxes ever. No matter what, you will take damage. But thankfully, every single enemy gives you health back, so you won't be dying to that. Nope, the 2000s platforming will take care of that. Now there was clearly a lot of work put into this, with the aesthetic of the world, the environment, every monster NPC design. I mean, each of Alice's weapons has a unique idle animation. Alice herself has a knife, an electric club, a pack of playing cards out of the projectiles, and a dice that summons a gremlin, which really confused me because it barely seemed to work, but look at that troll go! Time to rate games badly on Steam to send a message to the publisher, boy. Jeez, Alice, it's just a potion to grow smaller like in the movie. No need to skull it! The game, I guess, isn't as creepy now as it was back then, and it has this weird low-budget charm that only that era's games can offer.
Consult the book of bizarre things. Oh no, run!
And it will show you a cutscene where Alice talks to a naked cow turtle man. I'm serious, but this PC port, man! But yeah, this game is quite nice with... Like I said, this game... Wait, are you serious? I made it all the way up here, then died due to falling into the river and having no way out. It then puts me all the way back to the start and I have to do this whole slow-ass wall climb again? Nah. I mean, I just want to talk about the sequel. But you sort of gotta know the first game, as Alice will meet these same characters again and be like,
Hey, Tom! Fred!
so she knows them, but I don't know them. So it makes it easy if you play the original, but it's just small references. You can go into this game blind. I mean, if you didn't know about the hidden game in the files, you would be doing that anyway. So I will spoil Alice. It's an old game. Man, look, you had time to beat it, but instead you're just playing Diablo 2 again. I can't tell you what to do with your time. The rest of the story is that Alice saved Wonderland from the evil queen, who turns out was a darker version of Alice. And so she got cured of being mad, being free to leave the asylum. Oh, I get it. The madness returns here. Which leads me to the sequel, which funnily enough, I thought when I first looked this up, that Madness Returns was a remake. Yeah, I thought it's, oh, nice of the publishers. They put the original game on the disc. You know how companies let you play the original while having the remake? I never knew this was a sequel till I looked it up. And I did think I actually bought it on the PS3. Hang on, let me check. Where? Oh my God, Sony, you're really not letting me check actual things that I have purchased on your website unless it's PS4 and PS5. So you gotta go into your account settings, then set a date range, and it's like, I sure did buy games, I don't know what they are. And you gotta click each and every one of them, but when you press back, oh, okay, it shot me back up to the top. Oh, I gotta scroll down again. Oh, that game is not in the date range. I can see why they're a video game console maker and not a UI designer. I never understood why Sony hates the PS3 now. Well, there could be a few reasons. Okay, turn my PS3 on, yep, okay, I got the game. Yeah, nah, let's just try this on PC. It looks way better. But yes, it does have a horrible PC launch if you don't patch it up. As in, without the patches, the game can be incredibly buggy at times. But with that installed and game of fingers ready, let's dive into the horror platformer, Alice Madness Returns. So it is set a year later where Alice is getting psychiatric help from this Dr. Boombi, who runs an orphanage, and she still gets flashbacks to the fire and how she might have killed her whole family.
Mad as a hatter without the charm. Killed her family.
Man, these kids are mean. And on the streets of ye old England, the NPCs, man, I know it's an art style, but some of them look real ugly. Can I say ugly here?
Yes, on this network you can.
Okay, ugly in a good way, as it matches the creepy tone. And due to adults being adults, only thinking of themselves, and some more flashbacks, Alice regresses back into the madness, meaning another trip into Wonderland, which is now really beautiful. I mean, yeah, this PC version actually does this game justice compared to the aging console counterparts, but not as all as it seems, as these goo things have taken over Wonderland, and slowly you learn that something's corrupting the place. But the gameplay, well, it's clearly an improvement over the first, and might actually be my favorite platformer ever. As in the first game, she was moving like a washing machine, but now you can easily jump, glide, dash, and shrink with a great sound effect to maneuver around. The environments aren't that big, but are designed in a way where you'll know where to go, but oftentimes you'll just get lost into the map and think, seriously, how did people come up with this stuff? Like a ceramic tree? Outstanding! And with this you find collectibles. Ah yes, the thing every platformer needed in the 2000s. Here you collect bottles and fragments of memories that offer glimpses into the people in Alice's life, and some are quite dark to put it bluntly. But then you also collect teeth to upgrade your weapons, and you'll find a lot of them over the course of the game. British people and teeth, am I right? But then you find these bonus rooms where you can increase your health, symbolized as roses. At first I thought it was cool, like you had to answer trivia from the cat every time, but then every single one afterwards was just a boring combat scenario. Now to the actual fighting, thankfully it's been greatly improved over the previous one. Alice with a vorpal blade can still cut a dude, but it does seem a little more toned down in the violence department. You get a samurai movie style lock-on, which is mostly jank free, and you can slash, reflect projectiles with an umbrella, and dodge your way out. You also get a pepper grinder that shoots, guess what? Salt?
You're a dull boy, Billy.
No, pepper! Pepper. This is your projectile spam weapon. You also get a rabbit time bomb, a horse hammer, and teapot grenade launcher. These might seem quite limited, but all of them will help you take out the many enemy designs and also use in the platforming, like putting the rabbit down on the pressure plates to raise up other platforms, running over to shoot this clock thing to then unlock the next one, and so on. Then you have secret collectibles like these pig snouts that you have to shoot with Pepper to make them sneeze. And man, I hear them, but I don't see them. Am I insane? Oh, sorry. No, they are invisible, but holding L1 you can shrink and easily see them. Hang on, did I miss a party or something? The shrink mode allows you to see the world differently, like with hints on where to go or what you need to do to solve puzzles, or even reveal keyholes where you find more memories. But then you also have invisible platforming. Yeah, you gotta reveal them and then spook your friends. Ooh, she's walking on the air.
How does she do that?
Now all of this is fairly standard, I would say, in a platformer, but this game has one gimmick that makes me love it so much more, and that is the triple jump. So even though Alice can dash, midair, and hover, she also can jump 3 times, allowing for some insane reach. And this made me realize something about myself. If a game lets me break it, I will break it, no matter what. Whether it's me finding one method of playstyle I like and I just do it the entire playthrough, or whether it's now jumping further than you're meant to, I just like feeling overpowered in these games. I mean, even with the dress system, each stage gives Alice a costume design to match the world she's in. But here they also have DLC outfits, which are included for free after you know what to look with the perch. Although it was hard to tell as you have to click on the exact pixel to find them. But man, some of these designs, they look so nice as dresses. And the others, oh yeah, horror game. Well, this dress allows you to instantly go into hysteria mode, which happens a lot when Starbucks runs out of iced mocha latte. I mean, when your health is low. Yay, horror. But back to the jumping. With the triple jumping, I don't really know if it was intended, because think about it. If they let you jump this far, why would they spend time making all those platforms when you can just skip them? Maybe because removing them would make jumps intimidating for new players. I can believe that because this is some of the most accessible game out there with how easy you can make the combat for yourself if you just want the story. Back to those dresses. So many of them can make the game easier for you. But yeah, I love that with this tool, I can just make my own path and it just works. Even falling off, the game has no lives. You just reset at a checkpoint, and I'm glad they learned their mistakes from the previous game. So take for example the many slide sections where you have to maneuver your way down the slopes, but you can also just jump off the side using the triple jump to make it further down quicker. I feel like this game would have so many speedrunning strategies. Oh wow, that's some strategy! By the way, this game does have mini games where you solve block puzzles, 2D platforming, possibly the worst one, where you control a physics-based doll head. I hated this so much on the PS3, but I don't know now with the Xbox controller on PC, I found it much easier. Yeah, I don't know, I just like the Xbox controller more, despite not ever owning an Xbox. The minigames sometimes feel like they don't belong in the game, but I can see how they were trying to break up the monotony, because one gripe I have is that each stage can be quite long with the same. Jump over here, defeat enemies, and repeat. The saving grace was honestly admiring the background. As the story only appears in between the main levels, and I'll get more into it, the pacing can feel a bit off. But yeah, some of the minigames don't even work properly on PC. Like, it ran at a different frame rate? Trust me, I love rhythm games. This is not me being bad, this is not working. I mean, the proof is there with the credits also having this weird movement. Thankfully, you can just skip the minigame, which adds to the whole, and they really just wanted people to experience the story, huh? But before I get to that, I have to praise the game design some more because it runs on the Unreal Engine, which is cool now for big games, but man, Unreal Engine 3 back in the day had such a bad reputation for how glitchy it was, but I didn't mind it. It reminded me of how Batman Arkham looks with the world and interactions, but the game design was so carefully handcrafted, from the UI with the brain imagery to the Mad Hatter's mechanical washed out robotic world to the underwater sections, the crazy walrus death trap,
Cabbages and cream,
and undead pirates in very dark deep sea areas, to the Asia themed world which is based on Alice's family lawyer being a Victorian era weeb. Everything here is based on something from her real world, and you will recognize the characters from the Disney movie. But it's like those design prompts. What if you drew this but from a horror game? Then you have the Queen of Hearts homeland, Queensland. Yes, this is the state in Australia, and I won't be saying anything more on that. In Queensland, you have to outrun crazed guards. Okay, that just sounds funny to say. Yeah, in that level, Alice just really loves drinking and eating. Anything that says eat me plastered on the front.
Yummers.
And this time it causes her to grow really big like in the movie. So now it's giant monster stomping time. Each area will have so many little oddities like this, where here the sun just looks like that. Or this dude being a sudden obstacle. Who the heck even are you? Then you go back to the real world Victorian era London, and it feels exactly how I imagine England to be. Cold, wet, and full of British accents. Also look, British food! Now in addition to the... Man, I'm really so mean to British things. Now in addition to the game design, the characters have a unique way of talking, very old-fashioned, ye old English sort of way. But not really.
You're sufficiently fortified to kick some to boot these creatures' nether regions.
It adds to that creepy feeling where no one talks like this now, but I'm sure people back then didn't say things like this.
You may approach. Why would I do that? You want to eat me?
Yes, well, you taught me manners, and I've lost my taste for mad women.
So the story eventually boils down to something has created this destructive train that is destroying Wonderland, and in turn, Alice's mind. So she has to stop it. But each person she asks for help, they first want something in return, and then once you help them, they go, "Oh, sorry, love, can't help. I'm the next person, okay, dearie?" I really admire Alice for managing to not go nuts here, and how frustrating it can be to deal with these characters. She's a no-nonsense type of main character, even from the first game.
Nobility must be served, I suppose.
Stop that raining, won't you?
Well, let's get into it, and man, this presentation is so cool. Like a visual psych report on Alice. As the intro, which is very creepy, as the psychiatrist is telling Alice to forget her memories and retreat back into her Wonderland. How does this guy even still have a job telling her that? Alright, Victoria era England. So this is Dr. Boomby, who is dealing with Alice, who had traumatic memories of losing her parents and older sister Lizzie in a fire that she thinks she caused.
I'll set you free, Alice. Memory is a curse more often than a blessing.
So you've said many times, and
I will say again, the past must be paid for. Now, before our next session, collect those pills from our high street chemist.
Very well, Doctor.
It's my turn to forget, Alice.
Now, Charlie, your pa was hung for killing your ma who beat you. Let's forget that, shall we? The past is dead, Charlie.
I can't wait for this guy to lose his license. So you wander around in Victorian London. Yeah, I love the Unreal Engine. Did you hear how the new GPUs can't even probably run this game now? Man, why is everyone rushing to upgrade? I still love my 1060 graphics card. But yeah, the Unreal Engine 3 sure was something. So I love how lived in the world feels. There's so much to admire on every detail. Even the NPCs, you don't even see the subtitles, but they will still whisper.
Quite a fright. I've never seen a girl bend that way before.
Don't stop on my How do you have it?
Back, front, sideways, especially sideways.
As we get distracted by a white cat.
Seems following furry creatures into dark holes has become a habit. I hope it's not a vice.
This, however, leads Alice to hallucinate these monsters until saved by Pris. Or maybe not saved. So Pris is blackmailing her because she heard Alice confess at the time that the fire was her fault. However, Alice believes she didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire?
I don't think so.
So to keep quiet, Alice would buy her alcohol. Pris also says she knows about Alice's missing rabbit toy, the only thing that survived the fire. However, on the roof, Alice hallucinates again, and the fear of this causes Alice to have a mental breakdown, falling back into Wonderland. And so we see her iconic design. It's seriously so striking how the dress reminds you of the Disney version, yet you got blood now to show this ain't no kids cartoon, and that gothic look which I feel actually suits the era being Victorian England. And so the place is way more peaceful as she meets the Cheshire Cat.
Don't try to bully me. I'm very much on edge.
Perfect. When you're not on edge, you're taking up too much space.
You're no help at all.
He says there's a new ruler again and you must save the kingdom, so... As you can now platform your way through the levels using the jump and hover, bouncing on the mushrooms, finding these memories, and using shrink to see invisible things like graffiti which will point you on where to go, and fit into these keyholes which are usually just more collectibles. Also have these teeth to pick up, and that is sure teeth sound effects. but you re-find the Vorpal Blade, your weapon of choice, where these weird like doll blob creatures attack, and you also got your pepper grinder that you can shoot them from afar, including the flying enemies, as you'll do basic hack and slash combos to attack the dolls' heads. And then you got a triple jump where it's really cool because you can jump, hover, and then jump again, hover, and then jump a third time, making these leaps no challenge. But it really feels so smooth, and the game will challenge you on this knowing you can do that, putting the platforms really far apart. I guess it's for those early levels when you replay it, it's sort of trivial since you know how far you can jump and break it. You can also use those teeth you pick up to upgrade your weapons, which for the most part is these two, but you can also use the DLC to change up how the weapons look and their effects, like this one lets you take less damage. Well, Alice finds the place falling apart as a train is coming through as you head into Mad Hatter's world, which feels seamless. Most of the levels have no real start, they sort of transition into each other with these hallways that will merge the themes into another, and you don't often realize it. You suddenly went from green to industrial.
Find the Hatter, Alice. He knows more about different than you.
But does he know more about the difference between bad and good?
Making friends, Alice. You're as randomly lethal and entirely confused as you ever were.
I've managed without you so far, Cat. Return to whatever hovels home to you. I'll call if I need you.
Predictably rash. It's not a question of if, Alice, it's when. Now hold on, and as they say, shut up.
Don't try to bully me.
Well, now you're in the new world as your outfit changes. Yeah, Alice does have themed outfits to suit the world she's in. This one is way more steampunk. And it is amusing how the collectible memories are related to your moves, like what Alice experienced in the real world as a memory forms her moveset.
A burst of steam blew your dress up around your neck. Just outside Harrods it was. Fortunate your undergarments had been laundered.
So you push through fighting new enemies, these goblins, and you ride the steam, but you also don't gotta be too overconfident with your jumping. Oh man, why is the death sound so loud? Kinda makes me not want to fall off anymore. But then again, you literally just respawn right where you jumped from. There's no punishment for all this jumping. Which, I mean, with the amount of trauma Alice has, yeah, maybe no more punishment for her is a good thing. So you get harder enemies who have shields and you gotta wait for them to attack before you can hit back. And these mini bosses with the teapots where you gotta dodge your attacks and then hit their open eye. And as a platformer, as is the style, you got even more collectibles, where bottles gives you character profiles and concept art, usually some platforming challenge to find them. As you get the clockwork bomb, which you press B to drop it, usually to break open doors. And at certain points in the chapter, you will find these fire doors to your house, which are like big aha moments for Alice to slowly remember about the fire.
Our lovely library was a fire trap. A conflagration waiting to happen.
As now you got Hysteria mode, which is when your health is low, that you can use it to go berserk. Man, this really just looks like a creepypasta. So we meet the Mad Hatter, who's in pieces about the train. No, really. There's a train running through Wonderland and it's messing everything up, driving everyone crazy.
And worst of all, I'm left tearless.
Tragic.
I think Alice's personality really is the best to handle the nonsense of these Wonderland creatures. Like, buddy, I'm literally going insane right now. I do not have time for tea. So we learned the March Hare and Dormouse have turned against the Hatter and turned into a crazy factory. But if we help fix it, the Hatter will tell us more about the train.
Fight, work until you expire. Substantial rewards in
Oh,
heaven.
wow.
It's better to give labor than to receive pay for it.
That's just what I'm doing. Now you find honestly the worst enemy, the Menacing Ruin, who charges around a lot, has a lot more faces you need to destroy, as you pick up this umbrella to parry their flame balls, and it's so challenging! The hell, I'm so cracked at this game! Esports Alice, come back! As you have these clocks to shoot, and they will summon these platforms on a timer, so you're gonna jump before they disappear, as we head further into the factory, where now it's more platforming, timing jumps to avoid getting smushed, and the game crashed. Ugh. I guess you could say I got nothing. So you jump on platforms and have to grab Hatter's legs from the hair with these dodos powering the whole place. Man, now I know why they went extinct. Then you comb through the lava place for the dormouse, freezing it to jump through. And also one fun thing I tried was when you place the bombs on the pressure plates, the camera will change angles, but you can still move, making the platforming a bit harder. Look, I'm just having fun being silly with the platforming, okay? It's just so fun! So we grab his arms and Hatter will help us take down the rodents as we find the train. Yo, that train's on fire! And so they have a giant mech for us to fight! This is why you never hire rats to do your dirty work! So we win, and...
Still be friends. I got a fine Darjeeling.
I guess the picture book style helps it not be as grotesque.
I'm about to drown in tea, in ignorance.
As we wake back up.
Take her over to the Mangle Mermaid. Rent a bed.
Answer woo a girl, Mr. Brawl.
Do you think you're doing?
What comes natural like?
Not natural to me. Get away.
Oh, I wanted to stab them with the blade! So Alice finds her former nanny at the Mangled Mermaid, but...
You won't give me what I want? I'll burn this dump of yours down to the ground.
Go away. She's done no harm.
She hurt me feelings.
Oh no, not back to Wonderland again! So this is Thunderful, where we meet Mock Turtle. Yes, it's that thing that was in the underwear, and it really is a mock turtle, because he's not really a turtle. Now you may be wondering why in the footage from now on, you'll not see me wearing the themed level's clothing, and instead this outfit, which allows you to do double damage, making the fights easier. And the answer for that is... Oh geez, I'm looking through my notes and I can't find the answer. Oh, hey, here it is! Because I felt like it. And this little place on the ice is just so vibey in a grotesque way. I think it's like how those old sailors used to display their catches with the intestines spilling out, you know, in the museums where they show the biology of animals. But you also have this piranha skeleton in ice.
Fish.
This sun? Oh god, not the Teletubbies! And Bigfoot. Here's where you get those slides, which are really just so fun to jump and break it. Look, the game isn't punishing me for trying this, so let me have my fun.
Super fun, happy slide.
But yeah, this is a transition level as the main stage is underwater, and as
Underwater? It's boring.
because this little 10-minute segment is probably my favorite vibe of the entire game, as Mock Turtle was the former station master of the Looking Glass Railway, and now is currently captain of this ship. Turtle of many jobs.
Beasts, they want my ship.
I think you're more to their taste.
Never. We're almost relatives.
You're related to Soup, Admiral.
She is seriously way too snarky, I love it.
You're related to Soup.
So this horrendous minigame, as yeah, I never really liked those side-scrolling dodge the enemy type of things where it's an auto-scrolling level as you finally reach underwater where you can breathe freely. It's Wonderland. I would be wondering if she couldn't breathe here. He's like, bro, I don't know any train, just take this ticket to the Carpenter show. And there's someone who very clearly remembers the movie.
Attacking me! Where?
As we get another weapon, the Hammer Horse, which is a heavy attack, which you need to use it to defeat these hard-shelled crabs, but also for opening some walls to proceed, as we then arrive at the Carpenter show, who says he'll help us with the train if we help him fix up the show. As we have to now get the writer for the show.
I need a drink!
Oh god. And we get the music with this rhythm game, but yeah, you can just skip it because I don't know what's happening with the frame rate here.
The pipes are obstructed.
I can see that. Why not do something about it?
And endanger my vocal cords. You might do it for
Everyone
me.
here has an excuse for doing nothing.
Odd indeed. Unusual, perhaps. Even extraordinary. But nearly nothing is unique, Alice. Yours was not the first brick home to be destroyed by fire.
Dude, you don't tell that to a child! Yeah, you know, Alice, even though your house and family are gone, it's a pretty mid-reason to have PTSD, TBH. And we find those clams who are the star of the show, as we fight drowned sailors who are annoying since they will be invisible and then underground. It just makes the fighting take even longer. Also, you do have a dash, which makes traversing more fun. On Honestly, the combat in this game is just okay, but man, traveling around, I think this feels as good or even better than some of my other favorite movement games like Nier Automata and Gravity Rush. Literally, the act of getting to point A to B is so enjoyable for me. The minute I see this goob baby, I just hate my whole existence. It's not the worst action in a platforming game, but when you're here to perform the sick triple jumps off a rail, that thrill of making that leap, you don't want to be stuck in a room fighting waves of enemies that take more than one hit to go down. So to help the souls of the damned, you gotta platform into these dark areas which will kill you when there's no light source. But man, I'm so cracked at the movement. I found myself just running ahead of the slow light and just hoping the darkness doesn't kill me, and then I found out it was pretty amusing because they show the damage effect, yet it doesn't lower my health. It's like a fake out, meaning you could theoretically jump ahead if you memorize the steps. I don't know, just turn the brightness up on the monitor. As we find the most delightful place in the game. Hey, I lied to myself.
Every picture tells a story. Sometimes we don't like the ending. Sometimes we don't understand it.
As we see the Carpenter show, where
this light is full of random deaths and heaps of
not this scene! Carpenter is like, bro, I'm just trying to help Wonderland from the train. As the train just comes crashing in, where he says Alice was partly responsible for the train and someone is misleading her and to seek the caterpillar. Oh no, not that thing. As we wake up back in not Wonderland, London, where that guy set the mangled mermaid on fire, but Alice's nanny doesn't want to talk about her house fire, as during that time, she had escorted Alice to Radcliffe, the Littles family lawyer, so she could get her rabbit toy back. But Radcliffe was sus about Alice's role in the fire, kept her rabbit, while she had a psychotic breakdown.
I'll be glad to shake your hand, sir.
Considering the nature of the goods on offer, it seems more than generous.
You do know the way to a girl's heart, don't you? And unless you open your purse a little wider, that's all you're gonna get.
Well, I'm sure we can work something out. You might get more if you stop talking.
Consider my lips sealed.
Oh no, dear. That wouldn't do at all.
So we head to Radcliffe to find our rabbit, and you see how big a fan Radcliffe is of Asia. I fear that every generation has some sort of weeaboo. As he says what he thinks.
Her rabbit. Ridiculous pretext. She's here about the fire again. All the mad child wants to talk about. My report found her family dead by misadventure. She won't accept it. It goes on and on about her killing memories and her need to know the truth. The alleged truth is, the fire began in the library when the cat knocked over a lamp. The blaze trapped her parents and sister upstairs. Sister Lizzie never even unlocked her door. Died in her bed.
And this sends Alice back into Wonderland, where we now got back in the first area, but it's more twisted due to the train, which it's not a great level. I mean, it's just a lot of fighting, where you get the teapot and you can now swap your pepper grinder out to this to become a big blast damage attack. It's honestly not as good as the normal shooter. And then you fight this thing, which is an even bigger foe with more points to destroy, and it charges at you. You can see why it was a really good idea to give all those damage changing outfits and weapons, because I can see how frustrating this combat can be. Like, you don't go to Alice Madness Returns for the hack and slash gameplay. If you just want the story, you can change things up to make it easier for yourself. Because while the enemies are not hard, they just take so long to defeat. As you arrive in the mysterious East, which I don't know why this trivia exists, but if you hang on these things and you turn the camera to look at Alice's face, you can see her face. The studio is from Shanghai. Did they want to make Alice like in this level, and then when they forgot to patch it out, or was it a graphical glitch?
I don't know.
But this level is themed on Radcliffe's fascination of Asia, based on the items in his house, where you fight Japanese-themed bugs, and it's probably my least favorite level in the game because it is long. And then you got this mini game where you're in the paintings and you'll die in one hit, as you got side-scrolling platforming, which I do not like. The side-scrolling 2D, just give me 3D jumping. I need to see where I can jump. It does have incredibly cool visuals like origami ants, and I wake up every day thanking God that I hate bugs. But yeah, this level just takes way too long. It's over an hour long when most of the other ones are under 1 hour. I guess I also wasn't interested in these bugs' personal story since I don't think it's based off of anything from the movie, so I didn't know them that well. But we do learn something important.
Dinah saved my life. I survived because she showed me how to escape. I didn't leave the lamp in the library, and Dinah didn't knock it over. The lamp and Dinah were upstairs when I went to bed. Dinah was in the room with me when the fire started.
So Alice didn't start the fire! But yeah, this raises the point of how weirdly inconsistent the game's pacing is. You literally have 1 hour of pure gameplay talking to these bugs here, and most of the dialogue there doesn't affect your overall plot. Then if you go out of your way to find the collectible memories, you'll just get 1 line of dialogue relating to it, and that's it. Many times in this game, you'll honestly just forget the story even exists as you're platforming and fighting, and then suddenly at the end of the level, okay, the character's got to give a quick exposition in 10 seconds. Oh, and this fire door will just help unlock a memory. The story does make so much sense by the end, but it definitely feels not the most obscure horror plot out there. But I feel they could have had more cutscenes in between, showing more of the characters talking to Alice to, you know, break up the gameplay segments. Like if you compare it to the first game, it had more of a Wonderland kind of vibe. You know, the enemies were based on the level more. Instead of these goo blobs, you had things like the Cheshire Cat actually talking to you often. As in here, it just says things like,
the distinction between poetry and pessimism.
Whatever you say, magic talking cat. And these mini games here, I just didn't enjoy that many of them. Instead, they could have had some cutscenes to help the story's pacing a bit. Because by the end, everything just comes crashing in, and you do understand it, but maybe they could have teased it a bit more throughout the game. As finally we meet the caterpillar, who says if she saves Wonderland, she will save herself, and that the train was our creation, and to seek out the Queen of Hearts, who is someone we knew and loved. As the caterpillar flies out, which wakes us back up, as we are now in jail. Oh no, now what did we do? It was just some public misconduct. I think everyone in London thinks we are insane, which is nice. I mean, we didn't do anything super bad, but they don't pity us. No one's actively trying to help us out. However, as we leave, we have another hallucination, and we are back in Wonderland, where we see...
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Where it launches us into Cardbridge, which is a platforming-only level, yes! And once done, you descend into Queensland.
Back to admire your handiwork, returning to the scene of the crime.
So this queen is from Alice. No, not the Disney one.
Did I rip his head off?
We're here. I'll put some spoiler warnings as we wind into the final levels, where if you would like to experience this dark story for yourself, you can, as I struggle to run away from the Thing. And the Thing is the Executioner, who chases after you, a staple of horror games, which is kind of annoying because I just want to vibe out admiring the scenery, and then it's like, oh god, please, I don't want to die! You fight these card enemies, and you have more puzzles where you need to lay these bombs on seesaw platforms, as one will go down, the other goes up, and you jump onto it kind of thing. Also, Psychonauts? Do I need to play that for a video now? Yeah! So you finally get a good mini game where it's a chess board! Look, man, I'm not trying to sound like a nerd, but chess can be fun, okay? We can be cool playing chess! As we find more memories.
Lizzie hated locked rooms. Her room was further from the fire than mine. Smoke could not have killed her. She never locked her door. And besides, she knew another way out of the house. Out of the window. Someone incapacitated or killed Lizzie. Then locked her door, then took the lamp downstairs and started the fire to cover up their crime. Their plan was to kill us all.
Huh. I wonder who that is. As if I didn't already know. So we get the final bit as we run from the executioner into this cake that makes you big. I mean, I know it's from the calories, but you don't have... that's what you meant. So now you're big and you get to stomp out the army to expose the Queen's heart. It's a little power trip, not too difficult, where you stomp in a circle or you sweep in front of you. Also, it's pretty amusing that the cutscene has the custom outfit, but then in the gameplay it just reverts back to the default one. As you make your way into the castle, meeting Queen Lizzie, which is a great name representation of your sister.
I don't think so. Can you give me more than a warning? Caterpillar said you might help.
I'd need a better reason.
Okay, the animators went quite hard on the facial animations here.
Who benefits from your madness?
The destruction of Wonderland is the destruction of me.
Indeed, and vice versa.
I've set it in motion. I can derail it. This is good for me. I'm not insane. I didn't kill my family. I am fine. I'm not mad. I'm innocent. I mean, not guilty. What's happening? What are you doing?
The train must be stopped, but there's more to do. Your view conceals a tragedy. The whole truth you claim to see eludes you because you won't look at what's around you.
Alrighty then. Worst is over, and over, and over. Forget it.
So remember, the doctor is the one who was trying to make Alice forget about everything. As we get another hallucination of our time in asylum, which, as you know, is a Victorian era asylum, and I'm sure glad we have slightly better healthcare now. Amusingly, this is also Tweedledee and Tweedledum from the movie. You may recognize them, but they don't get that much time here. As we find a wounded, insane child who are from the first game but given a bigger role now, saying for Alice to help them help the rest of the children. Alice is like, what? I defeated the Queen. You shouldn't be in any more danger. Yet there is something or someone more sinister still out there. As we enter the dollhouse, which has really cool music, lots of platforming and puzzles, although the layout can be a bit confusing as it keeps flipping the rooms around, as we see more of the insane children who are fearful of the doll maker. As this whole place has doll enemies and very disturbing imagery, where we learn from the children. Part of them were taken by the mastermind. So we go further in with more challenging platforming needing a lot of quick timing. You should be okay with it now after your crazy skate park tricks from earlier, and you get that ball head minigame where you launch your head through these physics-based platforming, but you know, it's Unreal Engine 3 physics, which is good, but not in this situation. But that was on the PS3, which is way, way worse. I remember absolutely hating it, but it's way more fine now. You will die, but after a few attempts, you can get the angle just right. As we fight more doll bosses before the final memory.
I had a role in my family's demise, but I did not start the fire. Centaurs don't live in Oxford, but a certain doctor did. I saw him, a preening undergraduate. Now I remember him. That key belongs to Lizzie's room.
So yes, Dr. Bumby was the one who killed her family. As Alice meets the doll maker who, the resemblance is uncanny, and he brags about what he did, as he had a thing for Lizzie and he stalked her before eventually assaulting and killing her in the house, locking her room before setting fire to the building, where he now keeps the key and uses it to traumatize Alice in the therapy sessions. And so in the real world, we find Bumby and confront him about the abuse and exploitation, where he admits to all of it since people think we are insane and are not going to listen to our accusations. He did all this into other kids on the streets, selling them off, even the ones in the orphanage, which utterly angers Alice. That all this time this was happening right under her nose, she was too preoccupied with the fire and not seeing what was happening right around her, which the people of Wonderland were trying to get her to remember the fire so she could finally take some action. And at the same time, in Wonderland, you're reaching the train and you fight the doll maker, which is a typical boss for a platformer game. You know, you got both hands to attack enough times for the tongue to drop down, and then you attack the faces on it. It's a pretty simple final boss, as you win inside Wonderland, where you're now back in the real world, and so...
Monstrous creature! Such evil will be punished.
Your madness will be punished. Now leave. I'm expecting your replacement.
As it seems now, London and Wonderland have merged, where Bumby even has been gasped, seeing Alice's outfit change to a Wonderland 1, where now she has overcome Wonderland and the real world. And my God, what's with the frame rate on the credits? As that ambiguously ends, Alice Madness returns, an ending that the creator does go more into after the fact, but I don't think you should listen to that because it should be all in the game. It should have been in the game. But overall, it comes through in the ending story-wise. While the game has so many stretches of gameplay in between small snippets of story, the last few levels deal so much of it out that it does all make sense in the end, and it is told in a way that is not overtly shouting what it's trying to say. On the other hand, it is easily my favorite platforming game. The movement just feels so good to me, while giving you the story you don't often see depicted in 10 games, well, one published by EA with the box art just sitting in EB Games in 2011, I don't think many games in that time did that. And with the praise of how it handled the story and the gameplay being so fun, I cannot wait to see the third promised game. Oh. So American McGee did want to make more on the series, where the art book Alice Otherlands was released in 2015 with a Kickstarter, but he was still uploading videos, doing streams, talking more about the series. In fact, around this time, I actually remember liking the Alice Facebook page to keep up to date with all the news after playing this game. And man, why does Facebook alert everyone what pages you like? Because these people who I played soccer with saw me liking it and tagged me going, "Bro, what is this Alice thing? Some weird stuff you're into, huh?" I'm like, it's a video game, relax. But yes, he was teasing it a lot. A third final game building up to it, where in 2017 he worked on a proposal for Alice Asylum, the third game. He wanted it to make a pitch book that would have artwork, design, outlines, and the finances that would be sent to EA to get approval to use the IP to make the final game. And through Patreon, they made enough money to send it out in early 2023. However, in April, he announced that EA rejected it outright. And it was so bad of a rejection that McGee announced if EA were to ever do more Alice stuff in the future, he didn't want to be involved, and then announced his retirement from game dev, where he now is with his family and their business Mysterious, which I guess is doing okay. I don't know if Twitter numbers mean anything, but I guess it is sustainable. An end to one of the most unique games out there. Looking at the design book of the third game, it would have had the usual mechanics, but added in things like swimming, climbing, way more weapons, like a bow and arrow. It would have had a new developer with Virtuous Games, who are like a port crazy team. They make so many ports, from Nier to the Switch, to assisting Konami on MGS5, assisting Cyberpunk, and so on. It is sad that EA never thought a third game was needed, because I can't see how it would harm their budget or anything like that. I feel they just have to not care about single player games at the time, but yet they're having a single player focus initiative. Even one of their games from that initiative won Game of the Year, and the new one is doing really well too. So maybe something in that design bible, maybe something in the finances was the cause of the rejection. It's something we'll probably never know the full extent of. I mean, on the other hand, McGee wanted to do things with the Alice franchise, like make movies with the license, and he kept wanting to make so many games on fairy tale setting, but it was like phone games and game tap games. I don't think most people cared about those. For instance, in 2013, McGee made another Kickstarter for that Oz site series, you know, based off the Wizard of Oz, which could have been really cool, but then in the Kickstarter video, you have him being tied up with a bomb by Alice fans who say they want more games, and he's saying he can't do more games, and then almost $1 million for the project. That would have included a lot of things, and they only got a quarter of that. I guess he really wanted to make Oz a side rival to Alice, but nothing ever came about from it, and now with his retirement, it's only up to EA if they want to continue with Alice. It's kind of funny how 2 out of my 3 favorite movement games have amazing sequels, and then no chance of a third game. Oh yeah, and I mean probably no more Nier games because Square just doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah, I love mobile games where they shut it down and you can never play it again, so I never got to experience the story, but also it's a mobile game, so I don't think I would want to. So I can see sometime in the future an Alice HD remake by EA hired out to some other dev, and if it's a straight retelling with the same story, I could see it being okay. The visuals might be weird with a new engine, you know, that art style, and I doubt they're gonna get the movement right. But I don't think story-wise we're gonna get something new that will match the style and tone of this game. As Alice Madness Returns is one of the scariest platformer games around, because there's not that many of them, but it uses that dark story to help tell a tale mixed into the world design, the set dressing. You're not gonna have fun jumping around the worlds if there's nothing interesting to see in them, and it's creative as heck as how it looks, each world based on part of Alice's trauma, her trying to come to understand it and work through it, pushing through all the people's lies being told around her, using her moves based on her experiences. It's also a very easy game to get into platforming. I mean, you have the most generous jumps, you respawn right away. Combat, it's not the greatest, enemies taking way too long to defeat, but it can be made trivial if you equip different dresses and weapons. You can make this game playable for you, whatever your skill level is, and that is such a good thing. This is like the 5th time I've replayed this, and it feels so good to play, which is kind of amusing in that this story, it's pretty messed up, but like, woohoo, I'm a having fun with the platforming. As in happy platformers like Mario, I have no interest in. But here, oh man, the way they designed the worlds, the imagery, the music having this dreary tone which will repeat a lot since they only made a few songs. But it is catchy in a depressing kind of way, and that iconic main theme motif. Oh yeah, I love jumping around in all this atmosphere. I feel Alice Little here is an iconic version of Alice, but if you heard my Facebook story just in the previous section, a lot of people in the general public will never know anything about this, and that's kinda disappointing. I guess with the themes it can be hard to get into for a general crowd, but then again, with EA publishing it to little fanfare, people didn't even know about this existing until years later, every single long video YouTuber were making videos on it. Hey, you like that? I knocked off my webcam accidentally and found that's how YouTubers do this visual.
Pretty clever.
Despite what the future holds for Alice, I mean, there's not much left. It itself is a very well-made platformer game right now. One that isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but how trauma can affect people and how it influences the mind to see such bizarre things. And only in a game could this idea work. A HD remake I don't think would fit with that art style, the Tim Burton graphics. So while we may never get a future game, this game is very playable right now. I mean, the Steam version goes on sale for like $1 many times. It's like EA don't even care at this point. As one of the games I replay a lot, I really like Alice Madness Returns. Its story can be a bit heavy though, like I can't just play it at any time. There's a certain mood to experience it again. And despite its many flaws, the combat and minigames being a few, the platforming and jumping are so fun. Easily up there with the greats of the genre. And that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed my take on Alice Madness Returns. I know like every YouTuber has talked about it, but maybe my version was unique. And if so, I would greatly appreciate a like on the video and a sub, where I do make more videos on all sorts of games. You can also check the description to find links to my social media. And until then, I shall see you all in the next video.